Are we there yet? Or the adult version, have we made it yet? Or better yet, have we arrived? I'm gonna try a different spot today. The stairs all around me going down the side of my house. It's not very comfortable. I've been thinking about all the money we have earned, spent, lost, wasted over the years. Wondering, we're always in the pursuit of making it. We judge by what our neighbors have, what influencers over the years have told us that we need to have, and I mean way back in the 60s and 70s too. What were the Brady Bunch girls wearing? I needed to have that. I've noticed a pattern, and it's not some rocket science stuff. I'm sure a lot of you have noticed the same thing. It seemed like over the years, no matter how much we worked and how hard we tried and how many extra side hustles and selling old things that we had, never quite made it to billionaire. Every time those people say, stop drinking that Starbucks coffee every day and that's going to save you this much, and I guess you'll be able to buy your first house. That's not true. It takes a little bit more than that. It takes the right circumstances, the right job. Do you have a trust fund? Are people giving you money? Stuff like that. As I creep up on 65 in a few days, I am looking back over the money eras of my life. Eras. Well, it could be errors as well. In the 60s, I was busy being a kid, okay? Sometimes I'd get allowance, maybe 10 cents. I'd get 10 cents to take to school sometimes for ice cream in the first grade. So any money I would get would be for a birthday. Maybe grandparents would send me some money for Christmas. Like we're talking low dollars. The tooth fairy even, I collected a dime, maybe a quarter here and there. Enjoyed the construction in the background. It is a day in paradise. Anyway, but that was it in the 60s, and I didn't really have to bother about an income because we had parents who were going to take care of that for us, supposedly. That's how that works. Now in the 70s, I'm finishing elementary school, going to junior high, going to high school, moved many times during that period. Again, when you're in elementary, you might get a little allowance thrown your way here or there, do an odd job, get $1. Gosh, I remember in junior high babysitting, which by the way, I just didn't like. I love my kids and I love kids more now, but God, back then, I didn't care anything about kids, but babysitting was it. And I made 50 cents an hour. I remember the neighbors had these two boys that were rambunctious to say the least. One time I was babysitting them and I caught the bat just as the brother was swinging it to his other brother's stomach. I happened to catch it. They paid me $1 an hour, and I know why. Trust me, it wasn't worth it. During that time, I squirreled away any money that I had. Squirreled it away. And if I had a 10 or a 20, I would get it changed out for dollars, so I'd have a fatter wallet. Fast forward to 1977 when I got my first job at KFC. I was 16, making $2.10 an hour. The next year I got a raise to $2.15, so clearly rolling in it. All I had to do was worry about my own expenses. But the expenses turned into lunch and my own clothes too. So even going to the dentist, I paid for that. But that's cool. You know what? That's fine. I didn't really need to pay for a house yet. So we're in the 80s. I get married the first time. I'm 21. And I get laid off immediately after my honeymoon. The 80s were a special time. Anyone who lived in that time, it was the me, and inflation like crazy generation. People spent all kinds of money. Interest rates were ridiculous. After I was married, a couple of years later, we found a house, 66.5, can you believe that? And we assumed the mortgage, and it was 12.5% interest, which was a great deal because interest rates were 18 and 20%. They did come down, but the whole while we're working. I got my first real adult jobs, trying to save money, except we had this really high mortgage payment because, 12.5%, but we had a house. The more we worked, the more little side projects we would do to get extra money, the more we seemed to owe. And I will say in that generation, all of our friends about the same age were in the same predicament. It's time you need to get a home. Some were starting to have kids. It took us a little longer. You need furniture. You got clothes for that important adult job that you had. And you have credit cards, which was just amazing. And then you start charging everything on the credit cards, and then you have big debt. But we worked to get out of debt. And that was always a concern. I remember in the 80s, I finally grabbed debt by the neck, and I said, we're getting out of debt. I would go every week to the bank where I had my credit cards, and I would make a payment every single week. And finally, I paid them all off. And that was the best feeling. And then the 90s rolled around. The babies started arriving. We got another house. We had just started feeling a little more comfortable in our finances. A little bit, not a billionaire, never going to get there, but a little more comfortable. We got a new house on a lot of land. It was beautiful. I loved it. It was just so much space. And then big, not great things started happening. I'm not going to go into those details. I'm never going to go into those details online. I'm just not, because you don't care about the rest of my life. I don't want to share it. So the 90s started rolling on, and we did some things. We went on vacation. We bought fun things for the kids. We had nice clothes. We had our own businesses. Time freedom to me was worth everything. Unfortunately, with the businesses, we had a lot of bills too. Here comes the debt again. But you know what? With kids, you have debt, and that's okay, and we were fine. And then some things started unraveling, and a life change occurred. As I call the event, the fire. I lost a lot in the fire. That'd be the big divorce. And it happens, okay? It happens. It was a traumatic period of time for me. It lasted too many years. It took every last penny that I could even hope to be making. But let me be clear. No pity requested and no pity expected. Life happens. Life happens to everybody. That's just how it is. It was very traumatic. Lots of therapy. That's another thing that money was required for at that point. Hey, sweet kitty cat, how you doing? Ducko, yeah. But once we got through, hey, sweet kitty cat, she's a pretty girl, yeah. Once I got through that, the kids and I, we kind of settled into a smaller home, much smaller yard that I could handle. And we were just rocking and rolling. We were doing all right. And then I met the love of my life, my very best friend, Doug. You've seen him on here many times. Again, we won't go through a lot of that right now. Maybe later I'll tell you our little love story, because it's great. We started over, and of course there's a lot of money involved with it. What are you biting my hand for, girl, huh? Had a lot of positive hopes and dreams ahead. And that was great. We had a larger family, lots of kids. We blended together. We called ourselves the Brady Bunch. What is she trying to get my hand? What are you doing? Ow! What are you doing? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Anywho, kids, I'm telling you. In this part of our financial lives, the kids are getting older. And we had a lot of major life events. Things you would expect. But you know what? The older the kids get, the more expensive the toys, the events, the needs, the clothes, all of that. And that's just how it is. Stop it. What? You don't like me sitting on the steps. Stop. Stop. What the heck, girl? Anyway, time out. Enid Louise. We began the college thing. That's expensive. Well worth it. And we were there. We started dipping our toe into the weddings, our own wedding, but the kids' weddings, and that cost well worth it. Then we had sports and band, camps for all that, and for scouts, braces. May I just comment on the $1,500 lifetime cutoff for orthodontics? Come on, man. I mean, that's like an entry fee. You go in the office, they're going to get the $1,500 today, and then we'll do a convenient monthly payment plan. We were not a family to do braces because it would further your modeling career or your acting career. We did it because we had teeth growing over teeth, or too many in your mouth and your jaw was pushed back. I mean, that's it. When I was growing up, we didn't even think about braces, please. See? So that's that. Well worth it. We're digging our way out. And then there was a period of time when I needed to stop working for 5 years. I needed to be home for the kids. Things were happening. I just needed to be there. And I was. And we worked it out. In fact, that first year, there was definitely not going to be a family vacation. So we got season passes to Six Flags. And we went like 6 times, I think, even in Halloween, something we'd never done before. You know, you make the best of what you have, which was 0 money, but more time. So we enjoyed it the best we could. Look at this pretty girl. I forgot to mention, that was the 2000s we began there. And then in the 2010s, now it seems like talking about the 1900s. Anyway, the 2010s, we were having kids graduate, they were getting done, and they were going on to college or to their adult jobs. And now we're empty nesters. That last child graduated high school, and we moved to Chicago. I got a job offer for an upstart there, and we uprooted. I hadn't moved in eons. I hate moving. I did it so much as a kid. The last one graduated, and we went. That was rough. Empty nester. Here we are. I couldn't help but think, now what? Am I just supposed to sit around and wait to die now that my job has been fulfilled? No. It took a few years to get through that. But in the meantime, we're in Chicago. We're enjoying our jobs. We really were. We traveled a lot because the kids were not in Chicago. So we traveled a lot. We went on vacations. We traveled to concerts. You know, we're junkies. And it was great fun. We enjoyed every minute of living in Chicago. We made a whole lot more money. We saved more money, but we also spent more money. And I will tell you, there's many schools of thought here. Some say live so frugally your entire life, and then you'll have money when you're old. And I do agree, you need to plan the best you can. But also, while you're young and healthy, you also need to enjoy every day. It was hard for us, not everyone, but it was hard for us to set aside a whole lot of money through these other periods I was telling you about. The kids are growing up, they need stuff. We had major emergencies during this time too, major events that required major money. And we were able to get it, but those were the setbacks. That's reality, and it's reality for a lot of people. I know this is long-winded, sorry. So we enjoyed our lives. We enjoyed our lives to the max. And then Doug got transferred to Hawaii, which is where we were gonna be anyway, eventually, but it was just a few years earlier. So Doug's working, I'm not. I start learning a little side hustle, a little reseller business. Don't come at me. It was a side hustle. And I got to learn a lot about it, and I loved it. Then we moved from Honolulu to this island to our forever home. Doug quit his job. He retired. That was it. I'll tell you more about it another time, but reached the final point where his sanity and his physical health were worth so much more than the money that we would be getting. There's a point where you got to make that decision. So we did. In the meantime, we were in the middle of the pandemic. I'm sure you recall those times. He was an essential worker, so he had to keep going in. We were trapped in the condo for the most part. It was depressing as hell. And we still had a condo in Chicago that wasn't selling. So 16 months later, it finally sold. We lost a lot of money because of that. We would have come out ahead, obviously, if we had just sold it in the beginning. It didn't work. People weren't going anywhere. Lockdowns, whatever. Here we are. So I guess my final takeaway after all that, all this financial info for over the decades, including when I was so young. How you doing? Is that funny? This is how it worked out for us. And now we're at a point where we're retired for Social Security and we're on a tight budget. That's how it is. That's the reality. You may have gathered through all this that we are not a billionaire. We are not a millionaire either. We pay our taxes. But we have to also pay for our own health insurance, and we have to also pay for our yacht storage. Oh, sorry, we didn't get that either. I don't have a Rolls, okay? But we do have this amazing scenery behind us every single day. The weather is incredible. And we had this sweet kitty right here. She's so sweet. So I guess the answer to the question, are we there yet? Or have we arrived? I guess the answer is, yeah, we've made it. This is what it is. We've made it. We don't need fur coats, obviously. We don't have multiple vehicles. Why? We'd have to park them somewhere. We don't eat lobster tails all the time. I mean, that's not native to here anyway, so why would we? Sometimes along the way you have to adjust your definition of what it's like to have made it or to have arrived. Just always seemed over the years, generally almost there, but always a bit behind, overachieving. And that's fine. The moral of the story, do what you can. Live life to the fullest while you can. Know that your health changes along the years and it's going to continue to change. Do we regret not saving bigger chunks of money, especially the last period when we were in Chicago? No. We enjoyed it exactly how you should enjoy that city. We enjoyed our lives. It was our time to do it. We were able to help our kids out with many things too. We were able to enjoy fun things with them. So we're fine. We don't have a mass of money. Okay, whatever. We don't have all the wealth and riches and physical manifestations of what some might consider making it. We've made it. I'm not one to say, woe is me, and the system is always rigged against me, but I will say, in our place in society, I don't believe we were ever positioned to jump to the rich folk level. That's just how it is. Bootstraps, proper investment, whatever. I don't care. People have all kinds of suggestions. I wasn't getting Starbucks every day, and I still did not make $1 million, so we've tried to live every moment. We've tried to enjoy what we have. So I'm going to say we've arrived. We're good. What do you consider having arrived in your stage of life right now?